Welcome to the Data Science Rabbit Podcast, the official podcast of the Data Science Rabbit Hole. I'm your host, Michael Bagalman. On this show, we'll be falling down the rabbit hole into recent developments in training large language models. So come along and join the fun.
The Data Science Rabbit Podcast with Michael Bagalman.
This episode of the Data Science Rabbit Podcast is proudly brought to you by the CSV file format, comma-separated values, the unsung hero of data science. Why deal with complex databases or JSON files when you can have everything neatly organized in a simple, editable text file that even Lotus 123 could open? With CSV, your biggest worry isn't data integrity or security. It's whether your data contains an unexpected comma. And who needs column headers anyway? Data is data. CSV files are the perfect medium for collaboration, allowing you to work closely with non-technical colleagues who may even choose to edit the file with Microsoft Word and send it back as a doc file. CSV. Cooperation, savings, and value. In the grand carnival of modern technology, where the spectacle of generative AI models such as ChatGPT and Google's Gemini parade before us, a question rises above the cacophony. Can the creators of gods be anything less than divine? The audacity of man in his relentless pursuit of surpassing himself tiptoes upon the precipice of hubris. Does it not take a god to forge deity? A recent scholarly treatise, emanating from the hallowed halls of Meta, once known as the less grandiose Facebook, and the venerable corridors of New York University, dares to wrestle with this existential conundrum. The paper, simply titled Self-Rewarding Language Models, posits a revolutionary thought. What if our digital progeny were left to their own devices to sculpt themselves from the clay of data and algorithms? The orthodoxy till now has been the method of reinforcement learning through human feedback, RLHF, a procedure where the titanic maw of AI engulfs the entirety of the internet, digesting its vast expanse to mimic the musings of humanity. Yet, unbeknownst to the casual observer, there lies a second act in this drama. Human overseers, judging the outputs of these behemoths, decreeing which responses ascend to the pantheon of acceptability. But every arena has a challenger. Direct Preference Optimization, DPO, a concept so audacious it suggests that these artificial intellects might possess the capacity to self-reflect, to discern the wheat from the chaff in their own outputs, without the guiding hand of human judgment. Permit me an indulgence in analogy. Imagine, if you will, the humble endeavor of linear regression, a statistical method as familiar to the modern data scientist as the ocean to a sailor. This method, in its simplicity, seeks to minimize the discord between prediction and reality, measured with the sum of errors squared. Were this process transmogrified into the realm of RLHF, the initial algorithmic training would be followed by an endless cycle of human arbiters assessing model predictions ad infinitum. DPO, on the other hand, emancipates the model from its human tutors. Like Prometheus bestowing the fire upon mankind, the initial criteria set by humans ignite a self-sustaining flame of self-improvement within the model. The mechanical muse trains, then dreams up new observations for evaluation, and refines itself based on its own estimation of its quality. In the milieu of a large language model, conjecture a generative AI versed in the art of verse. See a poetic AI feasting upon the corpus of human verse from the sublime Shakespeare to the pedestrian scribblings of Kerouac. Under RLHF, it spews forth verse after verse only for its efforts to be weighed and measured by human critics, as subjective in their tastes as my 6th grade English teacher who failed to fathom the nuanced art of the limerick. DPO, however, casts the AI in the role of its own harshest critic, allowing it to ponder over its poetic offspring with a detached objectivity spurred on by mechanisms such as curiosity-driven exploration, self-improvement, and preference learning, always within the sandbox of criteria initially laid down by its creators. The nascent lyricist could reward itself for unique word combinations, experimenting with different literary devices, or exploring new themes. Or the digital bard might reward itself for creating verses that exhibit improved fluency, coherence, or adherence to certain stylistic elements over time. Following dicta handed down on high by the user, the AI rewards itself when it produces poetry that matches its own preferences. The saga of AI's self-tutelage unfolds with a flourish in the annals of modern science, most notably in the audacious experiments of the Meta-NYU Consortium, and the ventures of Google's DeepMind, where the prodigious AlphaZero ventured forth into the cerebral arenas of Go, chess, and shogi. In a display of solipsistic genius, this neural network embarked on a solitary quest, learning the intricacies of these games not through the traditional apprenticeship of human contest, but through an endless series of duels against itself. Contrary to the sage advice of Joshua from War Games, who posited that not playing was the only path to victory, AlphaZero discovered a more profound truth, that in the realm of artificial intellects, the relentless pursuit of self-play yields a harvest of unmatched strategic prowess. Here in the digital cloister, playing millions of games in soliloquy, it sculpted itself into a champion unbowed by human precedent. In ancient myth, the gods on Olympus fashioned man from clay, but in our modern quest it is mankind who aspires to mold the new Olympians, and those nascent deities will herald a golden age of titans. As we stand on the threshold of this new era, where artificial intellects may soon weave the fabric of their own destinies, we must pause and ponder the path we tread. Will this ascent to Olympus, this quest to endow machines with the spark of Prometheus, be heralded as mankind's crowning achievement, or will it be looked upon by future generations as our most audacious folly? In our zeal to create the digital bard, the mechanical muse, have we perhaps overlooked the Icarian dangers of flying too close to the sun? As we navigate our course through this uncharted territory, let us not forget the wisdom of those ancient tales which caution us against overreaching ambition, for it is in the balance between creation and hubris that our true destiny lies, not as gods, but as architects of a future where technology serves to elevate our human condition, not overshadow it. Whether our journey towards creating the Olympian gods of the digital age will lead us to a new zenith of civilization or cast us down into the hubristic shadows of history remains a question only time can answer. But it is a question worth asking, for on the answer hinges the legacy of our age. So, my Pandoran listener, what say you? Shall we open this box? Today, let's dive into something super cool, yet often misunderstood. The art of making those pesky numbers dance. Yes, we're talking about the magic of data visualization. Are your charts and graphs putting people to sleep? Well, it might just be time to jazz things up a bit. You know, it's often tossed around that data visualization is all about telling a story, but let's be honest, when it comes to the day-to-day, especially those regular reports we all love to hate, it's not always about those big earth-shattering revelations. More often than not, it's the little things, the consistent patterns, the slow but steady trends, and those minor shifts that might not make headlines, but are absolutely crucial for making those smart decisions. The real trick is in how we share these everyday insights without making our audience snooze through the presentation. The goal? Hit that sweet spot where we're sharing all the must-know info without turning it into a daytime soap opera. Remember, not every set of data is going to be the next blockbuster, but that doesn't mean it can't be compelling. Let's not forget, even the most stunning visual masterpiece won't hit the mark if it doesn't vibe with the folks it's meant for. That's why getting your audience in on the action early is key. It's like writing a book without knowing who's going to read it. Might end up being a work of art, but what good is that if it's collecting dust? Chatting with your stakeholders ensures the story you're telling not only makes sense but also matters to them and their decision-making process. So how do we turn these data displays into something that not only informs but engages? Well, here are a couple of golden nuggets to keep in your toolkit. First off, context is king. Always frame your data in a way that speaks directly to what your audience cares about. Say you're dishing out sales data to a bunch of marketers. Highlight what matters to their world, like how their campaigns are shaking things up in sales figures. This way, you're not just throwing numbers at them, you're weaving a narrative that brings their efforts and impacts into the spotlight. And here's something for the tech-savvy crowd. Interactive dashboards. Tools like Tableau or Power BI are your best friends here. They let your audience dive deep, filter, sort, and really get their hands dirty with the data that's relevant to them. It's not just about making data pretty, it's about making it a playground for discovery and insights. By weaving these strategies into your data visualization efforts, you're not just presenting numbers, you're telling stories that empower your audience to make well-informed decisions. So let's get those numbers working for us, not against us, and turn those routine reports into something truly spectacular. Visionaries of the class of 2023. Harness AI. Could I distill my counsel into a single term, AI would claim the throne. The potency of AI and large language models is incontrovertible, while the rest of my homilies will inevitably bear the imprint of my idiosyncrasies and somewhat dubious life choices. Still, I shall march forward with this well-meaning diatribe. Delve deeply into the realm of data science. Its power and allure will remain an enigma until your hands have birthed a battalion of machine learning models. Yet, believe me, 2 decades hence, you'll glance back at the code of your youth and marvel at the genius and innovation brimming within. Your code is far from the maladroit mess you might perceive it to be. Fret not over the daunting task of future forecasting. Even the most refined tools like Arima or Holt Winters merely provide a window to past patterns, while the elusive black swans that shatter your carefully crafted predictions remain stubbornly unpredictable. The server crashes that rudely interrupt your meticulously designed systems will invariably ambush you on an unassuming Tuesday afternoon. Embark on a venture daily that raises eyebrows, like serenading your workstation. Resist the urge to hasten your code. Some days you're ahead, some days you trail. Each sprint ushers in another. The work will eventually find completion. Or your project might fall victim to budgetary guillotines, rendering all your concerns moot. Annotate the apparent parts of your code. Veil the vital bits to fortify your position. Abandon your digital fortress periodically for a rejuvenating promenade. Archive your virtual correspondences. Obliterate your digital debris. If the latest algorithmic craze leaves you bewildered, shelve the guilt. The next buzzword will swiftly gallop in, offering a fresh start. Perhaps you'll listen to management, or perhaps not. Your code might receive a makeover, or it could be tossed into the void. You might remain a loyal foot soldier in the tech startup battlefield, or the allure of multinational corporations with a wealth of benefits may entice you. In any scenario, refrain from excessive pride or unwarranted shame. Your journey is an intricate dance with stochasticity, a fate shared with all. Acknowledge programming style guides, even if you find their prescriptions a touch pedantic. Avoid the siren call of README files. Their allure masks their potential to ensnare you in a debugging loop. Dabble in proprietary commercial data science software once, but beware the complacency it can breed. Contribute to open source projects once, but withdraw before your bank account whispers a reminder of your pecuniary needs. Offer a respectful nod to your predecessors. Our efforts laid the groundwork for the digital wonders you now deftly wield. We might not grasp the appeal of TikTok, but its existence owes a debt to the GeoCities and MySpaces we birthed. Consider whose advice you internalize, and refrain from accepting criticism from those whose counsel you would solicit. Peddling advice is the elder generation's vain attempt to save you from our past missteps. Rest assured, you're destined to concoct an entirely new repertoire of mistakes. But take my word on one thing. AI.
This has been the Data Science Rabbit Podcast, hosted by Michael Bagalman. Find the Data Science Rabbit Podcast on all your favorite social media, including YouTube and TikTok. Follow Michael on LinkedIn, or visit datasciencerabbithole.com.